Hey everyone! Today I'm going to show you how to make gardening supplies for your stuffed animals. I'll be making a shovel, seed packets, a pot, and a watering can that really works. Now let's get started! I'm going to start with the shovel, and I'm making this out of a toilet paper roll. I'm going to use a pencil to first sketch out the shape of my shovel. I'm making mine pretty big so it won't be a trowel which you can just hold with one hand. After I've drawn out this kind of rounded triangle, I can cut it out, and I'm going to cut out one more piece just like this so the shovel ends up sturdier. After tracing it and cutting it out, I can just glue the two pieces together. I had to hold it together for probably around a minute to make sure it stuck. Now for the handle, I'm going to be using a wooden dowel, and to attach it more smoothly, I'm going to cut out a little triangle of toilet paper roll again, and have that cover where the wooden dowel connects. I made mine too small at first though, so just make sure yours is big enough to cover over the wooden dowel and also be able to still stick to the rest of the shovel. So I'm gluing on the wooden dowel first, then I can add glue to that triangle piece and stick it on top. I had to press down a lot when doing this, just trying to get the cardboard to mold around the shape of the wooden dowel. Now I need to let that dry. Once it's dry, I can paint it. I'm just going to use gray paint for this since I didn't have silver. And I'm not painting the stick since I want to preserve that natural wood. I forgot to mention, if you don't have a wooden dowel, you could even just use a stick from your backyard. I will be doing a little something to the handle though, and that's painting it with brown watercolor. This will just give it a darker stain, and you'll still be able to see that it's wood. I had to do a few coats of this. Okay, after that, the shovel was looking a little plain. I feel like silver paint would have added more dimension, but since I didn't have that, I'm going to be dry brushing on some black. To do that, I'm dipping my paintbrush in black paint, but then on a scrap piece of paper, I'm painting off almost all the paint until it's basically dry. That way, when you start brushing the actual shovel, it'll barely just add some black wherever you're painting it. It's good to get your brush as dry as possible, and you can always add more layers as you go. I started on the back edges in case I messed up, and I just continued doing that all along the edges, and on the front I went around where the dowel was connected. And I feel like that just helps it look more worn out and more realistic. After I was done, it looked like this, and as you can see, I darkened the stain on the wood by adding a little more black watercolor, and that made it look kind of like it was left outside for 10 years, but that's how the shovel at my house looks, so I guess it looks realistic. One more thing I did off camera was sand the edges of that wooden dowel, since the handles of shovels tend to have more of a rounded end, but that's completely optional. And that's pretty much it for making this shovel. You could always make this a handheld one by just making everything smaller. Next, I'm going to move on to making the little seed packs. I drew a little pattern and cut mine out already. I'll have printable versions linked in the description box. But before I fold this together, I'm going to decorate the front so you know what kind of seeds are inside. I wanted to actually put real seeds in this, but the only seeds I have are chia seeds, so that's what I'm going to label this one. I didn't really know what to draw for this, so I just wrote out chia seeds and drew some little sprouts, which is what the chia seeds will look like when they grow. But other than that, I just left it pretty plain. Real seed packets usually have really detailed, colorful graphics, so to replicate that by hand would be a little bit hard. But after I'm finished with the front, I can start folding this together. I'm first folding that side rectangle in, and also the little tabs. Then I can grab my glue stick, and this is what happens when your glue stick is running out, but it's okay. Luckily, this is disappearing purple, so hopefully in a few minutes we'll forget this ever happened. I'm still using it anyway to glue along the sides so I can fold the tabs in and close it up. Now we have this perfect little packet to put whatever we want inside. I'm going to be using actual chia seeds in mine, but you'll see later you can also use little beads. Now I can just glue down the top to seal everything in. And since I used glue stick, this will still be really easy to open when I actually want to plant the seeds. Now it's done, and you can listen to that realistic seed packet sound. Don't know why I was so entertained by that. I wanted to show one other packet I made, and this one's going to be for carrots. So I feel like I did a better job decorating this one. I added a carrot drawing and an orange border. And this time I'm going to fill it with these really tiny beads I have. I just mixed some black and white together, and they look and feel just like seeds. And then I can just glue the opening shut. Now here we have our packs of seeds finished. Watch till the end to see me plant the chia ones. Next, I'm going to be making a little plant pot, but I first wanted to show this little pot I actually got from Michael's that is the perfect size for a stuffed animal. And this is a real terracotta pot that I just painted, and I used it to make this little fake bush thing. It was originally part of a project I had to make a Beanie Boo mansion, but that was a little too ambitious, so I never finished it. That's why I'm taking it apart now. I'll probably end up using it for something else. But in case you didn't want to make your own, you can find a lot of stuffed animal sized pots at different stores. Okay, let's get to the DIY version. Again, I'm going to be using a toilet paper roll, and this will only give you a certain size pot, so you may have to combine 2 toilet paper rolls if you want to make it wider. I'm first just cutting it down to the height I want it. I cut it in half basically. And now to give it that thicker top edge, I'm going to cut a little strip from the rest of the toilet paper roll. This is probably a little over half a centimeter wide. And I'm going to cut 2 of these out so I can make it thicker. I probably should have done 1 or 2 more though. Now I can just glue these to the top of the other toilet paper roll. Since this is going around the outside, I knew I'd have to make a cut and it wouldn't go all the way around. But after gluing on both layers, it looked like this, and now I need to add the base. I'm placing this on a big piece of thin cardboard and tracing around the inside of this circle. And when cutting this off from the rest of the cardboard, I accidentally made a mistake. I didn't leave enough extra room around the circle. So I had to redo that, but now I'm cutting around that sketch, but I'm leaving about a half centimeter border around the entire thing. Now I'm going to make a bunch of small cuts around the circle, stopping at the pencil line. This will make it easier to connect the base to the rest of the pot. After I've cut all the way around, I'm going to fold up all of these tabs, and you want to fold these up as much as possible because you eventually want to be able to squeeze this through the top of the pot and slide it down to the bottom. Once I'm able to fit it through, I'm going to add glue to the inside of the bottom, and then I can just slide the base all the way down and let the glue dry. Now after that, I can paint it. I'm going to be mixing my own kind of terracotta looking color, and I decided to mix the paint on camera this time, and immediately remembered why I don't do this, because the color can be completely off and it takes a really long time to correct. So that's what happened here, and I just corrected this off camera by adding some red paint. Now I can just paint the entire thing. This actually doesn't really matter though, because I'm going to be painting another layer after this. Okay, so once it dried, it looked like this. It looked really smooth and the right color, but I just thought it didn't really look much like a terracotta pot, so I'm going to be trying a technique to give it more of a clay texture. To do this, I just remixed the color paint I wanted, and then added a scoop of baking soda to that. I added a lot, probably equal amounts baking soda and paint, and this will give the paint more of a grainy texture, and hopefully a more matte finish. Now I can paint the entire pot with this new paint. After letting it dry, it looked like this, and I was actually really happy with the way this turned out because it wasn't as shiny as the last one, and had some cool texture to it. I know that most terracotta pots you buy in store are really smooth and not grainy like this, but I just wanted to transform it a little more and make it look less like a painted toilet paper roll. And now you can plant a fake plant in here by rolling up some brown felt and then sticking in some fake flowers or plants. I made some fake flowers in my flower crown video, so you could always watch that, or you could just buy some fake flowers. But you could also fill this with dirt and grow some real plants in here. I just wouldn't paint the inside of this if you were to do that. But that's pretty much it on how to make a little plant pot. The last thing I'm going to make is a watering can that really works. I'm making the main part of this out of a plastic container. Here I'm using an empty hand soap bottle, but you could always use a water bottle, really anything plastic with a round shape. The first thing I need to do is cut the bottom off of this. I'm going to be using an X-Acto knife for this, and this can be really tricky, so make sure to ask an adult to help. This is actually my second attempt at making this. I originally used a plastic bottle, but then covered it in cardboard since the bottle was really bumpy. And I ended up making the hole way too high and didn't cover the inside, so I just thought it was best to remake it. This one definitely turned out a lot better. After I've gone all the way around and the bottom was separated, I'm just going around the edge with scissors, trying to straighten everything out. Next, I need to make a hole pretty close to the bottom of this, and I was hoping to use a hot glue gun to melt the plastic and make a hole, but this plastic was really thick, so that didn't work out. I know this definitely works for more of a thin water bottle though. So instead of that, I had to use a hot nail to make the hole. Again, you might need to ask for help for this, or you could try using a screw to screw little by little into the plastic, or even use an actual drill to drill through it. Since the nail I used was really thin, I didn't make that big of a hole, but it'll still work. Next, I'm grabbing my straw. It's already cut from my first attempt, and I'm cutting the end at an angle so when I attach it to the plastic, it looks like a normal spout for a watering can. Now I can use hot glue to glue the straw on, lining it up with the opening we made. Ideally, I would have liked to make the hole big enough to actually fit the straw through it, but as long as you get the glue around the straw completely sealed, it should be fine. I had to use a few globs of glue to accomplish this, which isn't the prettiest, but I had to get the job done. And be careful not to touch the tip of the hot glue gun to the actual straw, or else it might melt through it, but touching it to the hot glue should be fine. Once that dries, I'm also going to cut the other end of the straw to the right size. Now to make the handle, I cut out a strip of plastic from packaging, and I'm just going to fold in one end and measure how long it needs to be. Then I can cut it to the right size and fold in the other end. To avoid too many hot glue lumps, I'm going to be using tape to put this on. So I just cut a big piece of packing tape so it could connect both ends at once. And after that, your watering can is pretty much formed and ready to use. You could also add a little half circle of plastic on top of this, but I didn't want to deal with any more hot glue. I'm eventually going to paint this to pull it all together, but I'm first going to cover it in Mod Podge because when I peeled off the label from the soap, it left this sticky residue all over it, and I know I could probably just soak it and then scrub it to get it out, but I didn't have time for that, so I'm just going to coat this in Mod Podge and try to get it as smooth as possible. Not sure if this made any difference at all, but there wasn't any noticeable texture after painting it, so maybe it did something. After letting that base of Mod Podge dry, I can just cover the entire thing with green paint. I just went with green because I actually have a big watering can that's green, so I thought it would be nice to match. Since I'm going to actually fill it with water and use it, I'm not going to paint the inside. Now this definitely took about 4 to 5 coats, but it turned out like this. I'm just now realizing I could have added one more coat of Mod Podge to the outside of this to make it look more like a plastic watering can, but I still think it looks pretty good with a matte finish. To maybe make a little easier version of this, you could have made this out of cardboard. You wouldn't really be able to use it since cardboard isn't waterproof, but it might be cute for decoration and just for playing. Now before I finish up this video, I just wanted to show the outfit I'm having my stuffed animal wear for the intro and outro. I thought overalls were essential for the kind of gardening or farmer look, so I'm having her wear that over just a basic t-shirt I rolled up the sleeves of. And of course, since she'll be out in the sun, I topped it all off with the woven hat. I'll link all the videos I've made for these in the description box. One more thing I wanted to show was this carrot that was in the intro. I just thought it fit well with the gardening supplies, but I made this in my felt foods video, so if you want to make it, you should check that out. Now I'm pretty sure that is it for this video. I really hope you all enjoyed it. This idea was requested by someone out there, I don't remember who, but I really hope you're still watching. Please give this video a like, comment any video suggestions you have, and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. I'll see you next time!